Yes, sir. Glad to have you back. I'm super excited for this episode. Oh my gosh, we're so cheesy. We're already laughing, dude. But I'm glad to have you back, dude. It's been a while. Update if any of y'all don't know, Hudson got married, and he has a child on the way too, which is super exciting. We're all super excited for that. Just found out it's a girl,
Yeah, dude.
which is pretty crazy. I guess she is a girl. So. Yeah, super excited about that. And also, we have our guest today, which is Caleb Hewitt, who is actually Hudson's brother-in-law. And Caleb is one of my best friends in the world, both of our one of our best friends. And I'm super excited to interview Caleb and just get a little bit of Caleb's testimony. As you can see, they're both at the same place because, they're like basically brothers now. So it's kind of cool. But just to kick us off, Caleb, I want to ask you, when did you decide to stop living on your time and start living on God's time, and why?
Yeah, man. So my story was kind of crazy. Like I'm sure a lot of people our age can attest to. I was stuck in a life just fully living for the world.
Hmm.
A lot of drinking, a lot of just a dark season of life that went on for way too long. And God really, He tried to wake me up over and over and over again. And it took an experience that it could have been really, really bad for me. That God finally was just like yelling at me so loud, like, give me
Mm.
your attention. And whenever that happened, it was just like I had to face the reality of, wow, like, what if I would have died tonight? I would have had to
Hmm.
face my maker. And that reality just kind of took me like a flood all at once. And that night, I remember I called my mom just sobbing, told her
Hmm.
everything that happened, and that got my gears turning for just like opening my eyes to see what God really had for me in depth. And from that point forward, I dedicated my life to God. Um, and since then, man, it's just been like consistent learning, not always just like comfort necessarily, but continuous growth and just learning more of who He is with every day. So yeah.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, um, you know, I don't even remember when it was. It was definitely over a year ago that like all three of us
Yeah, I
started
think it was
hanging
like
out.
a year
It
and a
was like
half, 2 years
what?
ago. It was like a year and a
Yeah.
half, 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, and it's crazy like to see obviously like we weren't hanging out whenever, you said you were like in that dark season of life, but it's really cool to see like, whenever you first began like really walking with the Lord and to see like where you're at now, like it's just amazing, dude. And I kind of want to talk about that too, like, you've decided to go into ministry,
Yeah.
you've said you don't necessarily know what, like whether to pastor, to be a music pastor. Did I say that right? Worship pastor, whatever.
Worship pastor. We know what you mean.
I know what you mean, but like, yeah, talk to me about that. Like, what made you want to do that and go into that?
So it was one of those things that I always had a heart for people. I've always been
Hmm.
drawn to people. I've always been drawn to, um, like helping others, carrying the weight of others, loving people.
Hmm.
And with that, it was always, oh, you're going to be a preacher, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. But I was never in a season where I could have been susceptible to hearing that. Because it was something
Hmm.
that, when I was growing up, my grandpa was my pastor, and my mom was my worship leader in my church. And so it was something that was fed into me from an early age. But after I started following God consistently, probably about 6 months into my walk, it was crazy how it happened. It was just like people I hadn't met before were telling me, "Hey, I think you're gonna do this," and then multiple people, and then within a week's time, it was just like it was so evident between what people were saying and what I was reading and what I felt God was speaking into me that this
Hmm.
is something that I can't ignore anymore. This is something that I really need to run with. And kind of like you said, I don't really know exactly what that's going to look like necessarily. Every time I try to come up with a plan for myself within that, it seems like God sets me right back into
Yeah.
flow. And so, yeah, man, just seeking His will within it all. But yeah,
Yeah, dude, this kind of crazy, like you say that, just because, like, you were talking about how, like, you continually felt that, like, that push, like, to go into that, like, direction. And we've talked a lot lately about, like the music thing for me. Like, I've felt a big need to, like, listen to more worship music and to make that, like, the focal point of my life. And I've just realized, dude, like, it's so hard to listen to God's voice when you're not, like, filling yourself with the word, with, good spiritual things and stuff like that. So, like, what's helped me a lot, like, lately has been, listening to worship music, like, and you've talked to me, like, a lot about that because, I mean, you literally do music.
Right.
And recently, like, I put on my settings on my phone, like, I can't listen to explicit music anymore. Like, even if it's something is like the clean version or whatever, like, I can't listen to anything that has an E on it. And that's like, dude, that's just helped me a lot, man.
Yeah, no doubt. I
Yeah.
always heard it growing up that it's so easy to get in oh, I'm praying, oh, I'm praying, oh, I'm praying, why am I not hearing? But
Mm,
yeah, like you were saying, praying, like praying's a one-sided conversation. That's our chance to
mm,
talk. But if we never get still enough to hear from God, or if we never get focused in His Word, we're speaking without wanting to hear an answer. And so, having those distractions in your life it'll just kind of put up a wall between you and God's will. And so that's good stuff, man. Like what
mm.
you were saying about cutting music out.
Yeah, most definitely.
I feel like we should do like an alternate. That's
Oh no,
insane.
I know. I just thought that, dude. No, I promise. Like, I'm literally like looking at like what I'm about to ask him. Oh my gosh,
No, I,
this
I
literally
just
happened.
I just been thinking about like I love listening to you guys, and your cut looks good by the way. I can tell you got faded up, but
Hey, appreciate it, my boy.
of course, but I was just thinking about like like all the times I've spent on here, and then the times I've been off, and like how God always makes the full circle. Like
Mm,
you know, so I've been off the podcast for a while, and there's been reasons for it. Some I would say like I'm not in the place to be teaching right now is what I'd say,
mm,
or I'm just not in the right mindset. But all those were excuses to hold back what's been holding me back. If that
mm,
makes sense. And it's just kind of like, you know, coming to realization, like, when did you start living for God? Like, what have I been doing but running? Because
mm,
I got caught up in sin when I got back, right? And the
mm,
repercussions of that were becoming pregnant. And you know, with every sin, there's a consequence, but also in every bit of life, it's a blessing.
right.
And, it's crazy to think that like even in my stupid stubbornness, like God still made something beautiful out of it. Where I have a loving relationship with my wife. We have a kid on
Mm,
the way. I got brother-in-law that's awesome. I got a great friend that I do podcasts with that's awesome.
mm.
And it's just kind of like wow, man. I'm so beyond blessed. And even in my stupidness, God can make something happen. You know, and
Dude, of course.
that's just been going through my head this whole time while I've been talking. But
Yeah. And I think that, and I was going to ask you this later, but I guess like since we're on it, let's talk about it now. You talk about like the consequences and stuff like that, but how beautiful it's been, how God has used you and how God has used your family and all through like all the things that have happened. Like, how does it make you feel knowing that you and Hallie have so much support as Christians while being parents? And what I mean by that is like, how do you feel knowing that like your family loves the Lord, Caleb's family, Caleb slash Hallie's family loves the Lord, and like you guys are gonna have so much support in your relationship.
man, it's awesome. And then I think in my stubbornness again, I'm like, for the longest time, I thought I had to do it all on my own.
Mm,
I was like, I messed up. It's all on me now. Like God, I had it in my mind that like God's like, you got it now. Like you done did it.
mm.
And I was like, done did it. You
You
done did
done
it.
did.
I've been out of school for a while, but I'm back. All right, so cut me a slack.
You're good.
But going back to that, it's like I was so caught up in this mindset that it's all on me that I was pushing God away instead of when in the moment when I needed Him most, I was pushing when I should have been
Mm,
asking.
yeah.
So, but having that having family around us, that's like the greatest thing ever. Because I remember when I came to my parents with this, they hugged me, and I
Mm-hmm.
was expecting them to like slap me across the face, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had all this support, and I didn't deserve it. I didn't, but that's God's love through all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't be more grateful for it.
Yeah, most definitely, bro. Because I know that like um, there are a lot of people who they don't have that kind of support, and they don't have people in their life who are going to guide them and direct them. And I think that you guys are just so blessed to have people in your life who will just sit you down and say, "Hey, like this is what the next step is going to look like. This is what the Bible says about it. This is how you should, this is how you should handle it. This is how you should do it." And I think that it's just really cool, like you have families who love the Lord, and you have people who are just going to be there for you guys during this time. And I am going to, I don't know what I'm doing. Sorry. I'm going to kind of redirect back to Caleb for a second. Because like we've been talking about, having like a great family and support system. And I think that one reason we love doing the podcast is because we want to show people that, my dad's a pastor, Hudson's dad is a pastor, Caleb's grandpa is a pastor, but we still go through struggles, and we still go through all these things. And so I kind of want to talk to you for a second, Caleb, about like when you started really living for Jesus, like what would you say was like your biggest lifestyle change? And what I mean by that is like whenever you were growing up and stuff, you had the Lord in your life. Like as far as like your family was going to church, I'm sure your mom always was like, "Hey, this verse says this verse says that." But like what exactly was like your biggest lifestyle change whenever after your accident, you said you started like living for the Lord? Like, what was the biggest change in your mindset, I guess you'd say?
I think for me, one thing that I've always struggled with, I internalize things. And
Mm,
so to combat that, like even if it's not just my own stuff, I carry the weight of others, like I was kind of talking about earlier. And so
mm,
for me, like I would always, to combat that internal battle that I was fighting in my own head against my own mind, I would surround myself with hecticness, people,
mm,
a party. Always, I literally, dude, there was a season when I was just like really living for the world where I don't know if I was home a single night for like a year.
wow.
And yeah, dude, like I would come home late at night and be like, good night. That was the
Mm,
extent. And I realize now that it was that light, like you were saying, that was in my house, the spiritual walls that are in my house and my support group. It was that light reproving the darkness in my life. It was conviction. Um,
mm,
but so it was having to learn that being alone is a good thing.
read, yes, for
Yeah,
sure.
and so it took me. I hit a just all time low. I was
Mm,
looking around. I was like, in high school, I knew a bunch of people. I knew everything that was going on. Seemed like I had connections. I had people that I could reach out to, and it literally took me hitting a point where I felt like I had nobody to get still enough to realize if I have nobody and I have God, then I still have everything.
Mm.
You
mm-hmm,
know, and so it took me being in that broken state for God to take the pieces and alter them and put me back together into something new. Like I've got people around me. I've got a great group of guys that's around me, but I don't ever, if I'm alone, I'm not going to revert back to the old crowd,
mm-hmm,
just because I'm lonely. And so it took me learning to be alone, to be able to get still enough to hear from God. I would say was the biggest, and because of that, it negated a bunch of temptation, a lot of internal battles that I had pushed for so long. It gave me time to sit down and address the root of them, and take
mm-hmm.
them apart piece by piece and fix them through God. And yeah, I would say that would be. It kind of started the domino effect for me.
Mm-hmm.
Getting away from the crowd was what got the gears turning to stop all the other nonsense I was doing, if that makes sense.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's good stuff, dude. Like I promise you, I I went through a period of time, like during COVID, where, like you said, you were talking about like, you were never alone, like you were always doing something. I wasn't always doing something, but I was alone and couldn't be alone, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. Like I hated being alone. Like I literally felt like I couldn't just sit still and open my Bible and pray and be okay. And it's almost like I was out, like, I felt like before COVID, I was doing so much with other people that I never took time to sit and just be still and know God. Like, I wish I could explain to you. There's not a comparison to how much scripture I know now compared to 2 years ago. Like, it's crazy because I've just taken time to sit still and know God. And
And learning how
Hudson,
to
I
apply it.
Yes, and learning how to apply it. Like I literally like, and Hudson, you can help me out with this because I know you love the Bible. I know you're a big Bible guru. Like I literally, like you said, I didn't know how to apply the Bible to my life
Mm-hmm.
until probably 2 years ago. Like I would say, okay, well, Joshua 1:9 says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." But I didn't actually know that like that was in the book of Joshua whenever he was leading the Israelites to the promised land. Like, you know what I mean? Like I didn't know that kind of stuff. And yeah, dude, I would say like my lifestyle has changed dramatically since I just dedicated my life to knowing the Bible. Talk about that a little, Hud.
So yeah, like studying the Bible and just skimming over it is two completely different things. It's easy to look. I got caught up for a while where I'd get on my phone and I'd read the verse of the day and I'd be like,
He
Mm.
keeping that streak alive.
Yeah, bro.
but I'd read the verse of the day and be like, all right, bet, and then just turn off my
Mm.
phone.
Mm-hmm.
But now that like when I'm journaling and like highlighting stuff, it sticks with you. I mean, it's a proven fact that like writing down stuff in a lecture and just from whatever you're reading helps you remember it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot better to look back to and say I was at this point in my life, now I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's time to chew on scripture.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were talking about the application thing. If you read something and write it down, like how are you going to dissect that?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like you, like the verse of the day thing. Honestly, I've used it sometimes, and it's been a positive thing.
Yeah.
No, I know
I
what
get
you're
what you're
saying
saying.
100%.
I get what you're saying
I'm
too.
not going against you. Like that is definitely going through the motions. Like
Yeah.
you were saying. No, I mean like taking small pieces and just like because if you read a chapter, it's really hard to focus on a section.
Yeah.
And so like I've had times where one verse in a day has filled my cup because like I can chew on that verse.
Yes.
Like, dang, dude, this hit home. This spoke to me.
Mm-hmm.
And like just taking the time to chew on that scripture all day. And I promise
Mm-hmm.
you, I don't know if there's ever been a time when I've done that where in the middle of that time while I'm awake that day, there's an opportunity where I can apply that. Like I don't know if that's never not happened.
Right.
Okay,
No, for
let's
sure.
chew it on this today.
Yes, no, I agree 100%, bro. Like, and that's crazy you said that because I was reading today and I've told you both like I'm reading the whole Bible and I've studied it super hard like throughout and I've been reading it slow and it's been kind of hard, but like I have it right here. I was reading Second Chronicles and for the first time in a while I actually journaled while I was reading my Bible and I feel like I got so much more out of it. And I actually like I wanted to share this at some point during the episode, but I'm in Second Chronicles chapter 10, and Rehoboam is like Solomon's successor as king in Israel. And I'm going to give you the long story short. Basically, these people came to Rehoboam and they said, "Hey, are you going to take it easier on us whenever we're working?" And he said, "Okay, go away, and in 3 days come back, and I'll have an answer for you." And he asked two group of people what he should do. He looked at the elders of Israel. And he said, "Hey, how should I handle this situation?" And they were like, "You should, be kind to them and take it easy on them, and you'll earn their respect." And then he asked. It literally says right here. Oh my gosh, I can't find it. Anyways, it's his group of friends basically. The other people he asked was his group of friends. And he was like, "Hey, how should I treat these people?" And they literally said, "Now tell them, my little finger is thicker than my father's waist. My father laid on you a heavy yoke. I will make it even heavier. my father scourged you with whips. I will scourge you with scorpions. And he went with his friend's advice. And then literally the entire like half of Israel turned on him because they were like, wow, like our king is a jerk. And
Yeah.
simply because, and like honestly, I probably would have just read over that if I didn't actually journal about it. And I journaled about it and I literally prayed, like in my journal, I was like, God, surround me with people who have my best interest at heart when I make decisions and help me like to just be around people who are gonna like point me towards you because Jeroboam made that one decision, the entire like kingdom ended up falling. Like, and I don't know if you guys know that story, which I honestly didn't until I read it, but it's just crazy to me, like how it's do what?
I've never heard that, honestly. I've never heard that story.
Like, well, no, and like neither did I, but like it's crazy how like just because I journaled, like I learned all that, and if I do that every day, like it's crazy how much more I'll learn. So
Well,
yeah.
I knew when you're getting at with the carrying your yoke, and I know that's
Mm-hmm.
referencing like my burden is heavy, but God makes it
Mm-hmm.
a easy yoke to pull, and I kind of caught that, but I never heard that. That was cool.
Yeah, I never heard that story, but it was just crazy to me how he asked elders, "Hey, what should I do?" And then he asked his buddies,
Right.
like in the context of it, to my knowledge, his buddies were not following the Lord,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's like it's crazy how you make a decision, like you said, like you're at a party and your buddies say, "Hey, you should do this," but then your group of believers and your support system says, "No, you should do this," and it's like which one should I do? And obviously, like, we should listen to the people who love us.
Mm-hmm.
But I caught that and I thought it was really cool.
Is something else you could take away from it? Maybe like this dude needs to befriend the elders.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is this dude not friends with those people?
Yeah. No, exactly, bro. And it says like right here,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they served his father Solomon during his lifetime. Like these people like served Solomon all his life, and they were there like all of Jeroboam's life, and they saw him grow up and stuff. I don't know. I just thought that was cool. So giving y'all a
You
piece of
know,
my what?
Actually,
it goes.
but going back to studying and reading scripture, another thing that I've learned, if I'm not in the Word for 2 days, me and my wife will somehow get into it over something
Mm,
little big. It doesn't matter. We will find something to get into it, and it's just
mm,
more of our flesh coming out. It's like
yeah.
we're starting to shine. Our flesh is shining through us, and it's just causing more
Mm,
problems. So, like, especially if you're in a serious relationship, married, or anything along those lines, being in the Scripture together, or even in your separate times, is very, very important. Like,
for
don't
sure.
and praying at night, and just long talks where you tell how you feel, or
Mm,
you explain what's going on in your heart, she and hers,
mm.
and it's better that way when you're more vulnerable about the word and yourself. That's just a little throw that in there.
Bro, no, most definitely. Like I had this conversation with Caleb. Actually, I don't know if I told you about this, Caleb, but you're talking about scripture and I've been talking about music. The other night I went to play pickup. I know I'm not gonna make this episode about basketball, I promise. But I went to play pickup and I was listening to like rap and stuff like that before I went. And there was a time, like you said, like if you're not in your word, if you're filling yourself with the wrong things, like it'll come out.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I played pickup, and I won't say who it was, but like at the end of a game, a dude didn't pass it to me or something, and we ended up losing. And I went over to this dude and I said, "Hey, bro, I'm just wondering, like, do you like winning?" Like,
Right here.
like,
I know
no,
that
like, listen,
feeling.
listen, listen, listen. But like, I went up to him, I said, "Do you not like winning?" And then somebody else kind of like gave me the "you're a jerk" look, and he just went, "I mean, yeah, I like winning." And I said, "Okay, I'm just wondering." And dude, I just went over there and I sat down and I went, "Why did I just say that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why did I just do that?" And I notice a difference that when like if I'm listening to worship or Christian rap before I go play, my attitude's way different. And it's like that's like I'm telling you, that's been on my heart all the time. And it like after that moment when I realized, oh my gosh, like you said, like if you're not in the word, like you might have an argument over something dumb, like or you might say something you don't mean. Like that's like after that, that's when I went in my settings and I like turned off like all explicit music because I was like, dude, like if this is gonna affect the way I treat people and the way I am in my relationships, like I cannot like have this anymore in my life.
That's actually a great idea. I really like that.
Yeah. I can show you how to do it
All right, man.
sometime. Yeah. But yeah. Hud, we're gonna go back to you for a second.
Man, I like that.
Um you like that? I know. Hey man, Caleb, all your questions are scratched, bro. It's just for Hudson
Good.
now.
I'll be back.
Nah, yeah, you're good. What has been the biggest difference from like for you going from dating Hallie to being married to her? And like you're probably the youngest married person that's ever been on the podcast, and I think you have a unique perspective because you've been married like what, a month, 2 months, something like that?
3.
3. Oh, my bad, my bad.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, dude. Yeah, talk to me. Like, what's been the biggest difference and what's,
Well,
how's that been?
I mean, everything changed, man. Like, it's
Mhm.
crazy to think, like, 3 months ago we were dating or engaged, and we both made this decision, like, this is what we need to do and what we have to do,
Mhm.
and it just so happened we love each other a lot, so it was great.
Yeah.
But it's definitely been a challenge adjusting to.
Mhm.
It's not about me anymore, man. Like at all.
Right.
Like it's about her and my child. It's not. It's like
Mhm.
I don't even think of stuff I really want anymore. Like I don't have desires like I did, like a new pair of shoes or something like that. I'm
Mhm.
more interested in to see what she's got going on or like what she wants to plan to do.
Mhm.
And us coming together with an idea like that it's fun. It really is. And
Mhm.
knowing that you have somebody that's like through thick and thin, no matter what, like we could have a knockdown, drag out argument, but at the end of the day, we're saying I love you and going to bed.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
cool to have that thick and thin forever kind of deal.
Mhm.
And, especially with somebody as strong minded as her, and like
Mhm.
that really pushes you to be better. It's
Mhm.
good to have that in your life, and especially going from like just seeing each other like every other day for an hour. It's like
Mhm.
every day, so you're gonna get into
Yeah.
about where you put your toothbrush, or like
Yeah.
how you put the soap back in the shower, and it's just stuff like that. But we
Yeah.
get together and figure it out.
Yeah. No, most definitely, dude. Yeah, that's awesome. Um, Caleb, we were talking about going from dating to married. Um, yeah. But yeah, since Caleb's back, we're gonna push on Caleb now. I'm gonna ask you, what's it been like? Obviously, you and Tori are still dating,
Right.
obviously, but what's it been like for you going from dating to now you guys are engaged?
I think it's just like it took me a while, honestly. I think it was the first time I introduced her as my fiance that the realization hit me,
Yeah, I had that too.
and so the realization of wow, like this is actually happening because we're
Mhm.
planning a wedding, we're planning where we're gonna live. Her mom like has already bought signs for our house or our
Oh, that's awesome.
and like I don't know, man. It's so fun growing into a new season. Even in the still dating stage, I mean, which we are technically. Um,
It's a little
it's
different though.
yeah, it's like you open up a whole new door to a new chapter where it's setting yourself up for the next step. The
Right.
marriage, and it's super exciting. It can't get here fast enough.
Mm.
Well,
Yeah.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I'd like to know where you stand in your dating life.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Bro, how'd I know?
Drop the ball.
What's it
on
like
us.
Oh
being?
my gosh, bro. Yo, now I'm getting interviewed, man. No, I don't honestly like I it really truly honestly like I don't have like a specific person in my life who man, why are y'all dapping each other up, man? Why y'all dapping each other up, bro? Don't be doing that to me, man. Y'all don't be doing that to me, man. Y'all are instigating.
We're just
No,
messing with.
but I know. No, I don't have like no, I don't have a specific person in my life right now who um who I'm like, man, like I really feel like I could date that person. I would say like there's maybe a couple people like I admire who I'm like, man, like I really love their love for the Lord. And for me, like, man, that's the biggest thing. Like you guys both you're married, you're getting married to somebody who loves the Lord. And like, that's my biggest thing, man. Like, I want to be with someone who loves Jesus, and who accepts me for the weird way I am.
That's awesome, bro.
So,
Yeah, all you
yeah.
single Christian ladies out there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Hey,
bro.
hey, I got something to say though. I actually
Uh,
saw this on like a church billboard sign, and I was like, wow, that's actually really good. But it said, "Run as fast and as hard to God as you possibly can, and if someone catches up with you, then introduce yourself."
no,
Yikes.
I agree.
I like that.
That's tough.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you guys, like, I'm kind of glad you asked me that. Nobody ever asks me questions like this.
Yeah.
But no, seriously though, like I really tell myself all the time, like, dude, I do pray for my future spouse. Like I do, and I tell myself all the time, I'm like, man, like God is continuing to sanctify me and continuing to, get my character in the right place so that, whenever I am introduced to that person, that I can love them the right way. Like, dude, I mean, my mom said the other day, she was like, everything, like everything's on God's time. And I know that, during this time, God is just shaping and molding my character and my heart so that I can love someone the right way. And it took me a while to get in that mindset. Like it took me a while to be like, I'm not saying I don't like, you know, get sad or whatever, but like I really try to keep a positive attitude. Why are you laughing, bro?
I just love how real you are.
Bro, you're so real. I
Yeah.
love it, man.
Yeah, but no, I'm good, boys. Whenever God introduces me to that person, I'll and he gives me the thumbs up. I'll love her as much as I possibly can. So,
For all you
yeah.
single gentlemen watching that are in the same boat as Caleb, make a list and write
Make a
down
list.
not
I,
physical attributes. Write down. No, for real. I'm telling you, I did this, and it was crazy.
Oh, I
Like,
thought.
I
I
made
was
it.
Go
I
ahead.
was laughing at something totally different. I thought he
No,
was
I
saying
thought I thought he was about to say make a physical list. She has to be 5'6". She has to be like I
No,
thought he was about to just joke. But go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
attributes like family matters, things like
Right.
that. Like went down. My not afraid of odds. Not afraid
Yeah.
to be outside of the box. Not afraid of adventure.
hmm
God first, obviously. And like I prayed over that list for a year and 3 months before me and Tori started dating. And dude, it was like whenever it happened and we started dating, the more I've gotten to know her, it's like every one checked off.
Right.
And it's like
Yeah.
God is prepared. I was in the same boat, dude. I was mad. I was like, why is this not working out? I was
Yeah.
serving God. And it was because God had to prepare me. Like you were saying, God had to
hmm
sanctify me to be ready to receive that girl and to be the
hmm
right man for her. And so, yeah, dude, that was a big thing that helped me.
Dude, no, I'm glad you said that. I'm really glad you said that because we've talked about that a lot and like I didn't actually like I wasn't gonna talk about
Dating
that.
advice podcast.
Do what?
So this has turned into a Christian dating advice podcast.
Dude, yeah, from a married guy, an engaged guy, and a single guy.
So,
But
wow, it's all three
but
stages, bro. It really is. We're in a line too.
no, we're literally in three different stages of life. That's crazy. Or three different stages of like your relationship, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But dude, I'm really glad you said that. No, seriously, because like, man, if you have to have, I don't want to say I've seen a lot of people get really specific with it, like their negotiables and non-negotiables, like oh, she has to be blonde. She has to be this. She has to be that. And it's like, no, that's not the case. But like one thing I know is that I want to be with someone who absolutely loves Jesus. There's no doubt that they love Jesus because I mean, I'm just gonna say like I've been in relationships before, or really like a relationship where I feel like you know Jesus was cool, but I don't know if Jesus was like our center point of what we were, basing our entire life off of, man. And it was like not a 70-30 thing, but a 100% thing, man. And that's what I want, man, above anything else. Okay, Tim Tebow. We ain't talked about Tim Tebow in a while, so don't make fun of me, Hudson. But Tim Tebow was talking about how with his wife, Demi, like they don't have anything in common as far as interests. Like she had never been to a football game before they got together. She had never been to a baseball game because she's from Africa. Like he had never been to a pageant before or whatever. But then like he said that people like would ask him like, man, like do y'all have any of the same interests? And he was like, you know what? We're very passionate about two things. We're extremely passionate about Jesus, and we're extremely passionate about fighting for people who can't fight for themselves, and fighting for people who like they fight sex trafficking, human trafficking. I think those are along the same lines, or maybe they're the same thing. But they're like saying as far as like what they're most passionate about, like they're both like passionate about those things, and they want to fight for them. Like Caleb, you want to go into ministry, like you got to have somebody who would support you if you were in ministry, and Tori definitely will. So that's really cool. So yeah, yeah, there we go.
You gotta look for that ride or die for
Other
sure.
boys. Yeah, no, definitely, man.
Did you not? Oh, they didn't hear
Man,
me.
we just.
They didn't hear
I
me.
heard you. What'd he say?
Well, I said you gotta look for that ride or die, and that's
Yeah, I know. I heard you.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just laughing to laugh.
No, dude, I heard. I was laughing because you're so like. What's the word? You're very like. I don't know how to explain it.
Macho.
Like
Yeah, that too.
macho. Yes, macho. That's the word. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, man, you gotta have a beautiful lady that you live life with. And Hudson's like, yeah, man, you gotta have a ride or die. Like, and look at this man. He's got a mustache on. Man, I missed you guys, man. I ain't seen y'all in a while.
It was great catching up with you, bro. And I hope that everybody listening got something out of just this kind of fun, everything at once.
This is kind of
podcast.
all over the place.
But hopefully,
Yeah, dude, it has been.
Something you can pick out.
Yeah, and I do want to, before we get off, which I didn't plan on getting off, but I guess we can get off because you want to get off. But before we get off, I do got to ask one more question. And this is for both y'all. Y'all both can answer this. Like, what is your best piece of advice? Like when it comes to like, we're going through our walk every day. There's, I mean, we live in a broken and fallen world, dude. Like, there's just so many things around us going on, and I just feel like, we have something really special, man. Like we have a really cool friendship. I can call either of you guys anytime, and I feel like we can talk about literally anything in the world. Um, so I would just say, like, what's your best piece of advice to people if they don't have that? Like, if they don't have a good group of friends who they can talk to anytime, or like that community. Like, what's y'all's best piece of advice on like how to find that? I guess you'd say.
When I was, well, I had like two different lives really, but when I was living in Oxford,
Wow.
well, I mean like not two different lives, just like two totally
Oh,
different.
I know
Okay.
what you're saying.
Anyways, when I was living in Oxford, and I just kind of took a whim on everything, and I moved out there by myself. I was alone a lot, and you remember this? I was like, bro,
Yeah.
like I was seriously. I
Yeah.
remember kicking a bottle around, calling Caleb and going, bro, I'm bored, like just
Yeah.
and like just stuff like that. But clinging on to my word, and then I immediately plugged into a church.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did that, it was doors were open, Bible studies were on Wednesdays. I found a lot of cool people to connect with, and everything like that. And it took a while. It did to get like acquainted with everybody and get in the scene with friends. And then when I did kind of just leave and go to the Marine Corps. But I had the opportunity. I had the opportunity to like grow in that community when I found that strong group.
Mm-hmm.
And I think too, like on top of that, like Hudson was saying, we live in a country. We are blessed enough. If you were watching this in America, that I think that if you look for them, the people are there. For so long, I convinced myself that there wasn't a Christian group of friends
yes,
out there for me.
yes,
But the
yes.
thing was, I
Yes.
wasn't looking for him. What was I doing to plug myself into a group? Like Hudson was bored.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have anything to go on, so he went to a church. All right, that's the root of
Mm-hmm.
where the family is, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that somebody won't come find you or the right people won't be placed in your life through a miracle or supernaturally or whatever, but I do think that in any relationship, it's going to take effort on both parts. And so if you don't take the step and the effort to go find the people, I don't know how easy it's going to be to find the people.
Yes,
Hey, somebody
bro.
quote him on that because I really like that. Don't get caught up in this small town mindset that's like, well, I've done all there is to do. Like, I'm just stuck here. Like, you're not. Like,
Yes.
there's so many churches, even in Batesville, there's a community anywhere you go, you know?
I think that's been a mindset
Mm-hmm.
that both of us have hit.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
or
no doubt.
any guy.
I've hit that too.
Yeah, dude. Like, but they're here. You know, some of my friends are people that I never would have. You know, like my boss at my last job, 35, 36-year-old man, wife and kids. I can call that dude up anytime. You know,
Right.
Hudson's dad is like an asset of mine. Like that's somebody I can call up on. That's somebody that can speak truth into me. It doesn't have to be, you know, like what we draw up in our mind is who our people is going to be. You know, we have to be open to receive that in whatever form it comes in. But if you seek after the Lord and you seek after the right people that will lead you to the Lord, I believe that God, He sees our hearts and He's going to place the right people on our path if we genuinely seek after that.
Yes, bro. I was gonna say. Oh, go you.
I just to add on just a little bit more, not just like he said to actually seek, not just the kind of the mindset like, I gave it my best shot, but if you're actually like diving into it, then you will. Like God will never abandon His people. You know, He never will. He never has, never will.
Hebrews 13:5.
And so when you're in His will, you cannot fail or you won't be left hopeless or abandoned.
Mm-hmm. And dude, yes, I love that you said that so much because, like, okay, I've been thinking about, I don't know where in the Gospels it is, but Jesus says, like, ask and you shall receive, right? And so a lot of people make that prosperity gospel stuff and they say, okay, well, if I ask for $10,000, then I'll get it. But that's not what the verse says. The verse says, ask and you shall receive if it is within God's will. And I don't know if that's exactly quoted, but y'all know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I began to realize, I've been like, man, like that verse confused me for, like, when I was younger, that verse confused me because I'd be like, man, like, if I ask God for more athletic ability, like, why don't I get it? Because, but you know what I'm saying? And like, and that's why I never read the full thing if it's within God's will. And God's will is for us to be more like Jesus, right? So if we ask God, show me how I can seek out more people. God, give me self-control. God, help me to control my anger. Help me. And like if you pray that prayer, He will show you how you can do that because that is within His will. Becoming more like Jesus is within His will. But like you said, you got to meet Him halfway, dude. You got to give Him effort. You can't just be like, well.
I was really hoping when we were talking about the whole dating thing and like finding Tori, finding Hallie, and all that, and like about you, I was thinking about this and I was hoping that the opportunity would be brought up for me to say it. And people might be like, "Oh, that's ridiculous," but this is something that I said once in one of my tangents, and I stick with it. And I believe, as a true believer of God, there are only two seasons. There are seasons of preparation, and there are seasons of your prayer being answered. And because like you were saying, ask and you shall receive. Okay, God, it says His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. God does not exist in this reality of time that we exist in. He created time. He's outside looking in. We're inside looking out. And so sometimes we're praying, like you said, $10,000, athletic ability. But what we don't know is if we're gifted that, what are we going to do with it? God sees the end result of that blessing that He can or can't give you. And so either that is something God's like, okay, like this is something that He's going to use to glorify me. I'm going to start working on Him. You know, He's not, He could. I mean, He's fully able to snap His fingers, boom. Caleb,
yeah.
Work and windmill, like He could.
Hey.
But He, you know, He's going to start. If that's something that He finds within His will for us and something that He knows will use to glorify Him, He's going to start chipping away at everything that's a barrier. He's going to start
Mm-hmm.
growing us in the areas that we're able to receive that blessing whenever He answers it. And here's the thing that a lot of people need to realize. Sometimes in the midst of that praying, we're trying. The answer has already been answered, but we're not
Mm-hmm.
willing to accept it because the answer is no. You know what I'm
Ooh,
saying?
yes,
Because
yes.
God knows the end result. What He could give you exactly. He could give you that $10,000 you're praying for. What if you got that $10,000 and went and blew it? You know what I'm saying? And what does
Yes.
God have to show for that?
I would like to say something. I actually saw this video the other day, and it was this guy,
Mm-hmm.
or it was kind of like a lecture setting, like maybe a theological class, and he was telling the class, he was like, how many people in here know somebody or are acquainted with somebody that wants to know the gospel?
Mm-hmm.
And that same person, how many people will fight you over that? And what he kind of connected with this idea was, if you were to ask that person if the Bible was true, would you believe it?
Mm-hmm.
Half of those people would say no, because they don't want it to be true. They don't want to
Yes.
change their lives. They want to stay in this idea that they're the God of their own lives and they don't have to give in to somebody else.
Amen. Yeah.
Because the people that are seeking God and seeking knowledge will find Him and
Yes.
come to Him. But the people that just want to argue about it, they don't want answers. They just want to be right.
Yes, bro.
Exactly where they are.
Exactly where they are.
They don't adjust. Yeah.
Listen, I literally have this written down right here. Like, I wish I could. Like, I'm going to send it to our little group message. It's kind of cool. I wrote this down in my notes 2 days ago, and I know it's going to sound funny, but like, I was watching a show, and this guy in the show, he said, "Don't lie to yourself because of how much you want to be right." Right? And like, I've realized that I've done that in my own life. Like, I've been like, okay, take for instance, like if I say that if I'm shooting on the gun at Williams, like, the shooting machine, if I'm shooting on the gun and my goal is to make 30 shots in a row, right? And I tell myself whenever I shoot, like, say I get to 28 in a row and I miss one, right? I could say, oh, well, the reason I missed was because the net was in the way, right? That doesn't really count. And then I make two more and I go, oh, yeah, I hit 30 in a row. Dude, no, I didn't. I'm lying to myself, right? And it's like we lie to ourselves sometimes and say like if somebody was like, I know the entire Bible. Dude, I honestly could not name all 66 books right now, but I'm trying to get there, right? And so if we're not honest with ourselves, we're literally never going to grow as people. We're never going to grow in our faith. If I ever say like, hey man, I've got it all figured out, then you don't. Like, the more I learn about Jesus, the more I learn that I got a lot more to learn.
And it's something that took me way too long to realize.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I think that a lot of that mindset is more prominent in males because we have to have everything. We have to push.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us in our heads subconsciously, without even meaning to, we try to get to God. Like, what we don't realize is God's going to meet us where we are. You know, we can push all we want, but the second we sin one time, we're stuck in a never-ending loop. You know what I'm saying? Our life is already dirty. We've sinned. We're not Jesus at that point. And so it doesn't matter if we go perfect for the rest of our lives. We will never meet God with our actions. We will never meet God with any amount of pushing, any amount of training, any amount of lying to ourselves, like you said. But the beauty of it, the thing that causes true change that will sustain, is the mindset that realizing that God meets us where we are, in the middle of the dirty, in the middle of the dirty. Yeah, dude, that's something that's really been resonating in me, like in the past week. That I just focused on, like, grace, you know?
Yes.
Like, it finally passed my brain and made it to my heart for the first time. Like, we can't push hard enough. It doesn't matter. We can't act good enough. We can't say the right things, but God will meet us. And that mindset alone, recognizing that love that He has for us, is what causes us to change, because we're like, wow, look what He's done for me. What can I do for Him?
Now, my mom always says, you can take 1,000 steps away from God, but all it takes is one to get back to Him.
I love that, dude. I love that so much.
It hit home for me too, and like this idea of like His grace is unfailing, it is love, and there's no action that can get us into heaven, right? So it's like
Hmm.
without His grace, nobody would go to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
it's cool.
Dude, no, I agree 100%, bro. Like I'll tell you this, man. When I was in high school, and we've talked about this on here. We had an episode where we literally just talked about like porn. Like when I was in high school, I tried so hard to earn God's love. Like I would be like, okay, like I'm not gonna drink, I'm not gonna smoke because then God will love me more. And it's like, dude, that's not how it works. And like as a result of that, like I was hiding in shame and guilt and in sin. Like I was like watching porn and stuff like that, and that was like my escape. And and I've talked about it on here a little bit. It's been such a long time since that sin has like had a grip on my life. But man, like whenever I tried to earn God's love and didn't just let Him love me, like I started striving. And when we strive, we're gonna burn out, dude.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't sustain. It's an attitude adjustment. It's all it is. Like
It really,
that's man-made change, and we're man-made creatures. I mean, not man-made creatures. It's man-made change, and
yes.
it'll never sustain eternally,
And you'll never
unless something supernatural intervenes.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll never be satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never have
Mm-hmm.
a sense of accomplishment or peace. You'll never have that peace. You'll always be like,
Mm-hmm.
I messed up today. Like I'm not going to heaven,
Mm-hmm.
or like I did this today. God hates me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it is nice to have that grace, but also comes with that mindset that
you can't abuse it.
You can't abuse it. You can't just say.
Yep,
God,
that's what Paul says.
But
Mm-hmm.
this is the way I clearly see it. When you're in the light, you don't want to go back to the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
When you see the light, you strive for the light. So that's the
Mm-hmm.
once saved, always saved mindset that I have. But me and Bubba talk about this all the time, where we'll kind of collide ideas and stuff. But the idea is that like if you're truly set on God, it'll show. It will.
Yes, you'll have fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's the bottom line of it, bro. You'll have fruit, and no, me and Caleb have talked about that too. Like, if you're saved, if you have accepted Jesus into your heart, like your fruit is gonna show, and that's one of those things. Like in James, like people worry. Like in James, it says faith without works is dead. And it's like I've gotten caught up in this idea before that like, oh my gosh, if I'm not good enough, like I don't have my works. And if I don't have my works, that means I'm not saved. But that's not what that means. It's saying that once you're saved, it will result in fruit. And what that means is that you will have love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, like the fruits of the Spirit. And yeah, so dude, we all like went from best piece of advice to that.
I love tangents, bro. I love rabbit trails. It always
It'll
results
show.
in good stuff.
It'll show. Bottom line is it'll show.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, yes. I love rabbit trails too, Caleb, because it makes for the deepest conversations.
We have
Yeah.
the worst rabbit trail conversations ever.
Dude, it's so bad. Yes.
It's like, should I eat Lay's or Doritos? And we'll end up talking for 3 hours.
Yes, bro. Oh my gosh. We're even doing it right now.
Yeah.
Like we'll just start going we will
You're
literally
on a rabbit hole about being on a rabbit hole right
rabbit
now.
trail.
Yes, bro. But no, I love it, dude. This is why I love the podcast right here. Like Caleb told me a while ago, he was like, when you try to just fit it in instead of enjoying it, like you're gonna resent it. But dude, I love doing this. I love getting on here and just having conversations and making people feel like they're right here with us. And I'm not gonna lie, like I kind of forgot we were recording because of how much we've just been talking,
Yeah, it has been fun. Well,
Yeah.
But with everything being said, I've had fun, and I've enjoyed talking to my boys, and it's great to be back
Mhm.
on here. I love
Mhm.
everybody that's listening, and just keep on.
He's got to conclude it.
I what?
You got to bring us home.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Caleb, you got to say anything else? Y'all got to say anything else before we
Enjoyed it.
get
I
on?
appreciate you taking the time to invest in me and see what I've got to say, and it's been a real deal. Lots of fun.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It's been fun. All right. Well, if y'all Want to hear more of our conversations? I don't know. Come hang out with us.